Hello friends, I'm back with a new video and today I'm going to review the Ensley Reign Cosmetics Harvest Moon palette. I did purchase this palette with my own money, and considering that it's a quite expensive palette, I really wanted to try it out so I could get you a good idea of how the palette performs. I think I have about 6 looks that I will show you, but I have also used the palette outside of YouTube and Instagram and all that. I also wanted to make sure that I did use every single shade in this palette, and as you can imagine I had a lot of work in front of me considering that it contains 21 shades. I did go row by row just to make it easier for me to control which shades I used. I will also show you some swatches so you can see how it looks on my skin tone, and I think you will be able to tell the different textures and formulas in the swatches too. Without spoiling too much, I can tell you already now that I have been loving all the looks I have been creating with this palette, which is quite uncommon for me considering that I create a lot of looks and some days they turn out great and some days they turn out like crap. My experience with Ensley Reign Cosmetics have since before been that the mattes are not that pigmented, they are workable but not my favorite. But in this palette I can tell that they have really improved the matte formula, which is very exciting to me because the palettes aren't cheap and you kind of want good quality overall when you buy this kind of expensive palette. This also made me hesitate if I really wanted to buy the palette or not, but after some conclusion I decided that I wanted to try it out and see if the formula had improved, and yes, it really has. Those mattes are really pigmented, easy to blend out and really nice to work with. I can totally see that this palette isn't for everyone because it's a really dark palette, even all the mattes are dark. But if you have as many palettes as me, you can of course combine it with the other palettes. But I have actually been using this palette on its own just because when I review products I want to only use that product, except for maybe brow bone highlight or eyelashes or liner, because that's the things that we all can add in our looks. But I don't like to add their eyeshadows when I do my reviews. And in my opinion is that this palette actually works great as a standalone palette, which I totally didn't expect when I did buy it because it's so dark, as I mentioned earlier. But if you're into grungy and dark looks, this is the perfect palette for you. What I really like about this palette is that it also contains a lot of different textures and formulas when it comes to shimmers. It has those more smooth, almost satin-like but still metallic formula, which I really like and enjoy. For example, the red-orange tone on my lids today is that kind of formula. It also has a more flaky texture formula that you absolutely need glitter glue when using, and I prefer to use my finger when I apply this kind of formula. But it's very impactful and beautiful when it's on the lids. And last but not least, it also has this beautiful holographic formula that is really creamy, and it's not 100% holographic in it. It's like a shimmer with the most beautiful holo specks. It's a unique formula that I haven't seen from a lot of other brands before. Since it's not a 100% holographic shade, it also makes it really easy to wear out and about because, you know, it's not too much for everyday wear, in my opinion at least. It's really easy to just put on lids and run out of the door. While a more traditional holographic shade can be maybe slightly too much for some people to use every day, but I don't see this problem with those holographic shades in the Harvest Moon palette. Now let's take a look at the looks I have been creating with this palette. Now, is the palette worth the price? It's of course a very individual thing. I know that some people doesn't want to spend a lot of money on makeup, and that's totally fine. But I will tell you my perspective on it. First of all, I'm someone who already buys a lot of expensive makeup, like I buy Sonja G brushes, and I buy Natasha Denona palettes, and I buy from other expensive indie brands. And I also live in Sweden, where makeup is extremely expensive already. So for me, this isn't a huge step up from the makeup that is sold at like Sephora or even more affordable places like Kicks, that is offering a lot of brands like NYX and even more high-end brands. Some of the NYX palettes is like $40 to $60 in Sweden, which is extremely expensive in my opinion, because I know how affordable they are in the US. With that being said, I understand that $80 or $90, I'm not exactly sure how much this palette costed. I know that it's a lot of money and definitely an investment, but I still feel like since the matte formula has improved so much, the packaging is very beautiful. I know that some people isn't into AI art, and that's also okay, but I don't want to go into that topic right now, because I'm just here to talk about the beautiful makeup, not to start drama or discussions about that kind of stuff. Overall, the packaging is quite luxurious. It feels heavy when you lift it, and the pants are magnetic, which is a really big selling point for me personally. I also love that there is a lot of different textures and formulas, because you get a lot for your money, in my opinion. And yeah, the color story is really up my alley. If I could change one thing about this palette, it would be to exchange two shades in the palette, because they are a little bit too similar in my opinion. And it's the Harvest Moon shade and the Corn Maze shade. They have definitely a different texture, but they are still similar enough to not having both in the same palette. Other than that, I'm really satisfied with the color story, and I really enjoy this palette, and I will continue to use it a lot. I did also purchase two single shadows from Ensley Reign. They are very beautiful, warm toned multi-chrome holographic shades. They are super pretty and impactful on the lids. I actually like to use them as one and done shades, which is really cool, because you get those beautiful shifts and holographic specs and still just use one shade. I'm also really intrigued by the new cool toned palette that Ensley Reign will release on the 26th of December. I might purchase it actually. And yeah, that was all. I hope that you did enjoy this review, and hope to see you soon. Consider to subscribe to me if you are interested in colorful makeup and indie makeup in general. See you soon. Bye bye. That I have been loving all the looks I have been creating with this look. We have